3:32 a.m. The silence in the building was palpable, a calm before the storm. Alex, adrenaline pumping through his veins, checked his camera one last time. Everything was ready. Alex had just moved into this ancient building that stood proudly in the heart of the city, a building that bore the marks of time on its facade and in its corridors. As soon as he arrived, he was greeted by whispers and worried glances from his neighbors. They had told him of a strange event, a mystery that enveloped the building as soon as night fell. Every night, at precisely 3:33 a.m., an inexplicable phenomenon occurred. Knocks on a resident's door. Always different, without ever revealing who dared disturb the inhabitants' sleep. Those who had had the courage to open the door had disappeared, leaving behind them empty apartments, as if their very existence had been erased. Intrigued and a little skeptical, Alex decided to investigate. Armed with his camera and an insatiable curiosity, he wanted to capture this phenomenon, to untangle the real from the fake. Perhaps, he thought, there was a logical explanation, a hoax, or a series of misinterpreted coincidences. But in the back of his mind, a small voice was warning him. The neighbors' stories were too numerous, the disappearances too real to simply ignore. He prepared his equipment with meticulous attention, ensuring that every camera was perfectly operational. He placed cameras in the corridor leading to his door, ready to record what was about to happen. Night enveloped the building in its dark mantle. The sounds of the city seemed far away, muffled by the thick atmosphere that grew heavier as the fateful hour approached. Alex, now alone with the unknown lurking outside his door, waited. 3:33 a.m. The silence broke. 3 light but clear knocks sounded at his door. Alex's heart raced. This was the moment. He slowly approached the door. His hand trembled as he grasped the handle. He opened the door. The building's empty corridor faced him, bathed in a darkness that even the faint emergency lights struggled to pierce. Alex scanned his surroundings, his breath visible in the cool corridor air. He took a step forward, daring to challenge the unknown. Then he heard it. A whisper, so faint it could have been mistaken for the wind blowing through the ducts, but resolutely human. Indistinct words carried to him from the darkness. Alex strained his ear, trying to grasp the meaning of these words, but the more he listened, the more he felt himself drawn into the darkness before him. Without understanding how, he found himself walking, as if guided by an invisible force, away from the safety of his apartment, through the building's corridors. The murmurs grew louder, more insistent. Alex was now walking aimlessly, lost in a maze of corridors and staircases, each step taking him further from his world, closer to another. The whispers, now clear, terrifying voices, seemed to speak directly to his soul, whispering sinister invitations. Come to us, with a strange, distant intimacy. A primal terror seized Alex, a visceral fear of what lurked in the shadows. He realized he had crossed an invisible boundary, entering a realm where the laws of reality no longer applied. Alex tried to turn back, to find his way back to his apartment, but directions eluded him, each turn leading him deeper into an endless labyrinth. Then he saw something moving at the edge of his vision, a shadow among shadows, blacker than darkness itself. He stopped, his heart beating wildly. The shadow seemed to be watching him, motionless, then slowly began to move towards him. Alex wanted to scream, but no sound came out. He stepped back, stumbling over the uneven cobblestones. The shadow drew closer, its form becoming clearer, more terrifying. It was a human figure, but absolutely black. 2 points of light, where eyes should have been, glowed malevolently, staring at Alex with icy intensity. The creature stopped a few meters from him, and the silence that followed was more frightening than all the murmurs and screams of the night. Then the creature spoke, in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, a voice that echoed in Alex's mind with frightening clarity. You've been looking for us. Now you've found us. The words were simple, but carried a thread of unfathomable depth. Alex felt despair sweep over him, a terrifying realization of his powerlessness against this being of darkness. The creature approached again, and Alex could see, or rather feel, that its face was an abyss of darkness, a void where hope and light were lost. He knew then that he must not, could not, look into that abyss, lest he lose himself. With a last desperate effort, Alex turned and ran. He ran with all the strength of despair, not knowing where he was going, guided only by the instinct to survive. Behind him, the creature lunged in pursuit. Alex could hear its breath, feel its inexorable approach, but he didn't stop, didn't look back. Just as it seemed his strength was about to fail him, Alex caught a glimpse of light through the cracks of an ancient door. A mad hope seized him, a longing to cling to this promise of salvation. With the last reserves of energy he had left, he made his way towards the light, praying that it wasn't another trap devised by the darkness. The light grew brighter, more tangible. Alex pushed open the door and suddenly emerged into a space he didn't recognize. The light came from an indefinable source, bathing the room in an unreal softness. He collapsed, breathless, looking around in disbelief. As he struggled to his feet, Alex felt an ominous presentiment. He had escaped the creature, but at what cost? The space in which he found himself was timeless, as if he'd been torn from his own time and placed outside it. Had he traveled to another dimension, or was it the building itself that had concealed this place for centuries? The truth dawned on him. He had not returned to his world, but to a twisted replica, a shadow of what he had known. Suddenly, in the center of the room, he saw the creature waiting for him, motionless as an ancient statue. No longer a fleeting shadow, it was a very real presence, terrifying in its immobility. "You can't run away from what's already inside you," said the creature in a voice that seemed to come from inside Alex himself. "You sought the darkness, and it welcomed you. This place is yours, now and forever." Alex realized that his quest for truth had led him to his own doom. He was not only a prisoner of this timeless place, he had become part of it, another lost spirit condemned to wander in an eternity of darkness. The creature advanced towards him, and Alex didn't retreat. There was nowhere to go, no hope of salvation. The last thing he saw was the absolute emptiness of the creature's face, an abyss in which he lost himself, a silence in which his last cry of despair was swallowed up. In this timeless place, Alex became the new guardian of a legend that would continue to haunt the building's corridors, a warning whispered among the inhabitants for those bold or foolish enough to seek out what lurked in the darkness. The circle was complete, the nocturnal visitor having found a successor in his eternal round of lost souls.